I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What is up, everybody? You know what it is. It's the Crew 2.0 for the challenge. We got a special show for you today. As you can see, the homie Sensei is missing. She wasn't feeling too well today, but you got the rest of us. But she's with us in spirit. Of course, it's your boy, Lim Gonzalez, aka Uncle Lim. Next to me, I got my brother from another mother, Nino Linares, in the building. What's up, Nino?
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Nino, and I'm ready to talk with y'all. I missed y'all. It's been a minute.
I know, right? And of course, our resident Messi correspondent, Messi Melody, in the building.
Hey, guys. I hope you're ready to get into this because it's going to be good.
Yes. And as you know, of course, we're doing a special podcast and we're interviewing none other than our friend Alicia. And she will be on in just a moment. Right now, we're going to play a video and then we'll be back with you. Let's go.
I'm close here, baby girl. All right, first and foremost, this is not the first time that things like this have come up, okay? Miss Taylor has had a black roommate before and has told her that she owned her, okay? So now, in my lovely DMs, and I don't even have Twitter, we have we have to greet everyone at work, but sometimes I won't greet the black people because they scare me. Black pussy is probably really scary. Father's Day, the most confusing day in the ghetto. And then we have a picture of her with no ass, no tits, and a very emo haircut, and it says, with the peace sign, what a hood nigga. So here's my thing. This is the first girl to jump on black dick, but don't want to own black culture. You're with a black man, with a black baby mama, and a black child. Learn your culture. Learn where you stand, okay? And at this point in time, this is not the only time that this girl has ever said any racial slurs. So to me, it's just like, I already told him before who you're dealing with. So it's like, how you gonna help her now? Let me know. I'm waiting. Like I said, this is every time she gets with somebody who is black or half black or whatever, her whole demeanor change. She starts wearing different shit, start talking a different way with the dead ass and the attitude, this and that. But when you approach her, where are you at? She'll spit over a balcony. Like a weak ass.
No, yeah, I mean, she is a talker.
Spoiler, she spits on me, a black woman.
We are back, and let us intro our guest. You know her from reality TV. You know her from Are You the One? X on the Beach. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than Alicia in the building. What's up, girl?
Hey.
Hello. Hey, girl.
Good to see you.
Yes. It's been a minute. It has been a minute. So glad to have you on the show. Of course, we asked you about joining us for a special, mainly because, we just played the video and that has been circulating around social media for a little bit. And we wanted to get your take because, of course, the climate right now that we're dealing with when it comes to not only the Black Lives Matter movement, but everything that's now as a result that we're seeing the call out for a lot of people in reality TV, just all over. I mean, TV in general, but reality TV specific, and especially for MTV. And I want to start with that video that we played, and that was, of course, Taylor. And you were talking about your experience with her on X on the Beach. And we know that as a result of the actions that happened that she did in the past, her special got cut. Take us back to that time in X on the Beach and your dealings with her. What was the tone in that situation?
I would say, honestly, the tone at the time for me was very hectic. I would say when the incident happened, truly, I did not even realize, I didn't even process what happened. And then after the situation, not only was it just, I felt unfair from me and her, but then just production in general, because afterwards there were no repercussions on her end, and I kind of got all the blame. And it was just kind of like, I don't understand why, I wasn't the one who assaulted someone, and yet I had a curfew and I wasn't allowed upstairs. And it just, when you look at it from an opposite way, it's like, if I were the one who would have done it, everybody would have been up in arms. But whenever,
Absolutely.
attention to it, people look at me like, you know, like, well, they were arguing about this, they were arguing about that. And it's like, if you take out the argument regardless, like, let's roll it all the way back to, yes, your tweets were when you were young and you can say, you know, you were dumb, you made a mistake. But 2 years later is when we first appeared on our first show, you know, in 2016. So it's kind of like, okay, fast forward 2 years later, is it a premeditated thing that, you know, like, hey, if I get into something with her, this is how I feel? And I don't know, man. I'm just, to this day, honestly, just spitting on someone is just the utmost disrespect. And it just, especially like what's going on today, to just have it come full circle to be like, you know what, look, this is what should be said, this is what needs to be done. And wild, honestly.
Yeah. It's extremely wild. And
sorry.
yeah, like, you know, it's all good. Like you said, you know, spitting is just reprehensible. Like, there's no excuse for that. It's the most degrading, disgusting thing that you can do to an individual. And I guess for me, with that happening, I want to know what happened after the fact, because a lot of people have been talking, people that are other cast members have been talking about how, you know, when things that's happened that's been racially motivated on these shows, there hasn't been anything that the producers have done to basically fix the situation. What happened in your situation?
Not at all. And after that whole situation went down, I was carried out by security. I had to sleep in a makeup room for, I guess, like a week and almost 2 weeks, like, in total. I wasn't allowed upstairs. I couldn't be with everybody from the house. I was legit segregated. And her behavior afterward was rewarded. They winded up cleaning out the bathroom that they were in. And some of my stuff was in there, and I have an email that I winded up screenshotting and, you know, sending back to them like, hey, at this point in time, I said some of my stuff was missing. Nobody really cared, but they rewarded their behavior, gave them a little date, and my stuff went missing. And I'm like, but I'm still sleeping in a makeup room. So how is this, like, you know, how is this fair? Like, so we're allowed to spit on each other. We're allowed to say degrading things to each other, and nobody's going to raise an argument. Nobody's going to say anything. It's just insane.
Right.
I have a question to like add on to that then, because, you know, we've seen the entertainment industry from reality TV to film. There has been changes in the past, maybe 10 years. That's a little bit more effective, but it's still so much more of a long way to go. Do you think the racial tendencies in Hollywood, you know, create those storylines that, you know, seem to paint people in different pictures, just like reality shows?
Agreed. I feel like no matter what, at the end of the day, all they care about is a storyline. So if it fits and it looks good, send it. And nobody really cares to look at, like, hey, maybe we should put a warning, or maybe we should talk about this, or, you know. And I don't know, during this whole, the way that the world is being set up right now and how everybody's actually speaking their truth, I don't know, I felt the need that this situation, I spoke about it back then, and people were giving me hell about not saying anything. And I'm like, but I did, you know, I did when it happened, and I did now. And just now is when, I guess, you know, they wanted to take action and do the whole firing and things like that. And, you know, it felt justified just saying, hey, I spoke about this then, and now to have the world come and actually be at the same pace at the same time was so refreshing. Like, you have no idea. Just
we see her talk about it a lot, saying she's apologized time and time again. Did you personally ever get an apology for being spat on?
No. I never got an apology for being spat on. I never got an apology for being displaced after that. You know, like I said, I truly physically was not allowed to go up a flight of stairs. I wasn't allowed to sleep in the same area everybody was in, and I begged to go home. And I'm sure even she did, you know what I mean? But we truly just were in such a weird situation that when you look back on it now, is insane. Like, why was this happening? Like, why did they even allow it? And it was just kind of like, they didn't care. So
do you think that the firing had only to do with the tweets and not what she did to you? Or was it both?
I think it was a little bit of both. I would say just because, you know, the proof was there previously, and even, you know, like I said, I was on this very show and showed it. Right. And, you know, other people saw it and they want to forgive it and this and the other. But I just feel like to use an excuse of you're young and dumb is like, okay, maybe you fibbed to your parents growing up, or, you said a white lie, things like that. But I feel like a racial injustice, there's just no growing out of that.
I want to kind of pivot because I don't know if you know all of what's going on with like, especially speaking of, I mean, obviously shows in general, you've seen all over with people that have said problematic things, racially motivated, or just racist things are now being either fired or had asked to step down. All of these things are happening, which I think it's about time. Like it should have happened a long time ago, but it is happening now because of the tone that our world is in, and the injustices that are happening. Now, specifically with MTV, since you have been on several shows with the network, there's been a call out, like obviously Dee from the current season of the challenge. She was fired for something she said on Twitter. Obviously Taylor, what we've already discussed, but there hasn't seemed to been anything else that's happened in the result of other cast members, when we know historically that even that's shown on the show, whether it's tweets or stuff that's been aired, that's also been racially motivated. What do you think should happen? What do you think should happen now?
I 100% completely agree with you. I feel like everybody says that they have their own issues and arguments, with the network and things like that. And people are even upset. I saw, like, from my perspective, people are like, oh, this, like, she's using her voice in the wrong way or this and the other. And I'm like, if everybody has an issue, whether it be with cast or production or both at the same time, just say something. From the time that it happens to even just now is the time to speak up. One of my good friends, she started this whole petition, and I've been in DC and New York, and we've been putting up for super links. So you can go, you can sign petitions, you can talk, you can speak your truth. One of my good friends, her name is Yaz Abdi, and my other friend, her name is Olivia. So they started these, and you can just scan it, sign a couple of links. So I feel like for people who on our network who have issues, just, hey, write something, talk, do what you want to do. As long as your voice is heard, you can never say, hey, I never tried and nothing ever got done. I tried in those moments, and I tried today, and something got done, and that's it.
You know what? This whole situation, just everything that's happening in general, is such a huge teachable moment, but sometimes it just becomes a moment and it doesn't continue, I think. You know what I mean? I know in the past, MTV has done things where they've talked about racial issues and things like that has happened on shows, but it only stops at that one time and it doesn't continue. It's the same thing that goes on with the injustice, the systemic racism in the US. It seems like a trend just to talk about it for X amount of time, but it seems a lot different this time around. You know what I mean? I feel like it's continuing. I feel like it's going to keep on going. And maybe this whole situation will help Hollywood entertainment in general kind of look at things and produce things in a storyline from a different perspective. And maybe these are things that need to happen. Everyone's so quick to cancel 2020 right now, but maybe this is the time and this is the place where all of this needs to happen. And we just got to keep on talking about it, right?
Agreed. The discussion is definitely always there. I think people always have something to say about it. It's just a matter of something being done about it.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think? Sorry, Melody, go ahead. You were ready to say.
I just wanted to know what the feedback was like from like other castmates when she got fired. Was it all positive? Was there negative? Did people
when I even just put out what I felt just in general about the whole situation, because once it happened, I didn't want anything to do with the network. I didn't want anything to do with anything. I was just kind of like, you know what? This is what I got to say, and I just want to be removed. And even now, I still do feel that way. It was just a matter of like, wow, you guys heard me and you actually wanted to do something about it. Like, thank you. But I CC'd like one of my other cast, Jasmine, Shanley, Simone. So, people that I feel like actually saw it and were there, they were like, I'm excited for you and I'm ecstatic. And others were like, oh, well, you're doing it for this reason, or, things like that. And it's like, don't put words in my mouth, number one. But number two, like, everybody's focused on the same thing right now. Like, let's just keep it to that. Don't bring it down to, oh, well, you're jealous or you're this. It has nothing to do with that. Focus on what's actually happened. Like, Black lives actually matter. Like, things matter. People should take what we're saying seriously. And I can't even believe that to this day that something wasn't done back then, like to have it happen now, like where everybody's so microscoped in on the same issue is just insane.
What would you, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like there are other people, obviously cast members that have done things that are problematic or racially motivated. what do you think should happen to them? We've seen the case of Dee and Taylor. I don't know of any other, and maybe I haven't followed anything, but I haven't heard of any other canceling of firing or removing
Right. I mean,
anyone else.
there's been other people that I've seen online that have said like, "Hey, I have an issue," or "Why wasn't this person accountable?" Or
Right.
the whole pick and choose. Sorry, hold on.
You're good.
Oh my gosh, sorry. Or the whole pick and choose and things like that. And I'm like, if it means that much to you, then you'll say something. You'll go the same route that I did, and CC, hey, whoever the executive producer was at that time, or the person who was in charge of us, things like that. Like, I was gaslighted 2 years ago when this situation happened. So for people, it's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. When you say something, people are like, oh, well, why didn't you speak up for it then? Why are you speaking up for it now? And it's like, that's not the case. It was just, no one wanted to pay attention. And now that it's just such a hot topic, now everybody wants to take accountability, and it's like, it should have been done. So
sure. Absolutely. I think that's the thing. It's like, what do you do in the case of these other people? And I think that as a network, obviously they have some challenges ahead of them, because all of this stuff is taped, all of this stuff is televised, right? That this stuff happens. But I like what you said about the people that feel like they have been wrong, to then, like you said, go and email these producers, email the people that were in charge at that time, and demand your justice, and demand that something happen as a result. I think that it's pivotal to do that, simply because we know that if we don't make noise, there's not going to be any change.
Then there's not going to be any change.
There's not going to be any change.
Exactly. Because you have some people who, like I said, they'll be like, well, why didn't you say this? There's some people who are on your side, and then there's some people who are completely not. But at the end of the day, the issue is the issue. It's plain and simple.
And this is like a thing where I think now, how the US wasn't ready for a pandemic. You know what I mean? All these networks weren't ready for this to come out into play. There is not enough PR. There is not enough, saving grace to conflict to what's wrong. You know what I mean? And when with more people like yourself speaking out and other cast members speaking out, I think this is going to help the networks, not just MTV, but everyone else that's dealing with the same thing, have an action plan on what to do and how to take care of things and how to fix things so this doesn't happen again. And it's going to be it's going to be like a learning situation, and it can't be something overnight. But I think the more we talk about it, the more there are brave people like yourself, who are like, yeah, I'm one person with this big network, but when you know what's wrong and what's right, you just really got to stand up for yourself. You really have to.
Exactly. That's it. At the end of the day, as long as you stand up for yourself, at some point, I'm sure what goes around comes around,
As a person though, so the past couple of months, the first half of this year has been crazy in general, between the pandemic and everything that's happening. What have you been up to? How have you been taking everything in? And how have you've helped yourself cope with everything that's been going on? Because I know it's been hard for everybody.
I know. So I mean, honestly, I did start, like I said, help my friends out with their whole movement right here. Like I said, you can scan it and go to their super link, plug. And recently, within the past 2 weeks, I started going back to work. I work under some of the top surgical doctors in New York. So I've just been taking care of myself, just really focused on myself. As far as social media wise, like I started just being a little bit more private, staying to myself, and just really, just like I said, just being for myself. That's really it.
Nice.
A lot of the feedback we've been getting when it comes to our opinions on Dee getting fired, Taylor getting fired, is MTV shouldn't have let them go. They should have educated them and aired something like that. How do you feel about that?
Like I said, I just feel like you can't quote unquote educate something that was an issue 2 years prior to the first casting of shows. Like I said, you know what I mean? Like, people say, oh, she was young and dumb and she grew from it, but 2 years later is when me and her had our first encounter in 2016. And then two years later was 2018 when we were on that show together. And then 2 years later, here we are, So it's like, you can't excuse a racist just pattern. You know what I mean? So
I personally can't accept the fact that she's grown and she's changed when you
Yeah.
haven't even gotten an apology. So there's
Yeah.
no accountability for that.
Yeah, there was never an accountability for that. You know what I mean? And it's not even just. I just hate how people want to tie it back to that whole situation of like, oh well, it has to do with a guy or things like that. It's just no. Like, let's just focus on where the world is at right now. Look at the issues and the fact that this was even an issue back then. Like, if it was taken care of then, we wouldn't be here now. So
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How do you feel? I'm kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to expound. There are some people that are being proactive. One, for instance, just because there was a show last night on our network, Jordan, who was also called out for things that he said on when he was on the Real World, and Anaya, who is the person that was directed towards. They kind of both came on, and I guess she's forgiven them, and they're really good friends now. And I guess she wanted to come to his defense because obviously, your video came out, and then there was just a firestorm of things. Like, a lot of people were getting called out. Even the host of the challenge was called out, from some stuff he said like 15 years ago. And so, but he was basically, they did a Instagram live together and kind of explained that they're friends and they forgive him, whatever. They both did wrong. And then they came on our show and not our show, excuse me, on the AfterBuzz TV, and also kind of the same thing, just letting everybody know. Do you feel that, like, people? I mean, I'm a person. I think that people can change their ways. If they're truly sorry. It just seems like the timing of things. Obviously, it's like a lot of times, like, oh, I'm sorry if I get caught or if I get called out, then I apologize. How do you feel about that?
Right. It's literally only you have to keep the same energy. Like, if you're sorry, you're sorry, but if you're caught, you're caught. So you kind of, it's just inexcusable to me, like, just because you got caught, that's why you're sorry.
Right.
And I just feel like if the actions were taken accountable back then, well, great.
Right.
But they weren't. So I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. Everybody has their own fan base, and for my quote unquote fan base, people are upset at me for not saying anything, and that's upsetting to me because I did.
Right.
And it's just a shame that, yes, I guess now in the climate that we're in, this is what it took for things to be done, and that's all that it is. That's it.
Right. Would you ever do reality TV again?
I'm good, love, enjoy. I'm good. I'm good.
No, I'm straight. You're done. You're done.
No, I'm good. Yeah, it took me to a weird place for a little bit, and then it took me a year to, for lack of better words, get my shit together. And now I'm good. I'm happy. So
that's good. I mean, I think everyone goes through things, and there are parts of their lives where they learn a lot, and some things are good for people, some things aren't, and you move on, and you seem like you're happy right now. You know what I mean?
I am. I learned just to be for myself and just take my own time, and I love privacy, and that's just it.
I think that's how it is, and I think if people become accountable, if MTV continues with what they're doing, these people get some time off to reflect and realize and take the accountability that they need. And we're not saying you're never going to come back to entertainment or reality TV. I think this is a time for you to get the repercussions that you so rightfully deserve because of the things you said before, because everyone gets a lot of passes all the time. You know what I mean? And not everyone gets the repercussions that they need. And this is like a slap on the hand to remind them you need to check yourself and really change. So I think like with what Mel said before, like, or what Lemon Mel both said before, everything that's happening with these networks and these people, and people saying that you shouldn't be firing everyone, I think this is a moment for them to learn and to teach themselves, and then come back later on if they want to. It's not about canceling people. And I think that's what a lot of people think. Once you say something bad about somebody, you automatically want to cancel them, and you don't want to give them the second chance. I'm with Lem. I think people could change, but it has to be genuine. And I think for that, you need time. Time is of the essence with that. It's not going to happen overnight. Exactly.
Time and accountability.
Exactly.
Do you think that MTV will keep that same energy with the men that they've been doing with the women?
Probably not.
No.
I'm sorry, but probably not. I mean, at the end of the day, they're a television network, so I'm sure they'll do as far as what ratings, gets them. But I think now, like I said, with the climate, I think people maybe now will be a little bit more conscious, but they're still gonna want to keep their numbers up. So
yeah.
Did you
you gotta take what you can at this point.
Yeah. Recently, Janelle had spoke out about her experience and how producers told her she couldn't film without makeup because she looked ghetto. Did you ever get that kind of treatment? Are you shocked by that treatment she got?
Honestly, no, I'm not shocked. I mean, I think all of us have gone through our own encounter. I want to say hiccup almost, because it's like it comes and it goes, because it's just kind of like, did that just happen? All right, let's get a hold of it. But did that just happen again? So really damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Right. Do you, just piggybacking off of that, obviously being a woman of color, and what you experienced with Taylor, and just what Melody brought up about Janelle, have you heard from, your other castmates that are women of color being treated differently because they are that? Obviously, we know as an MTV show, right? Normally in their shows, it's like one or two Black cast members or what have you on a show. Obviously, with yours, you were on Are You the One? There was a little bit more because it's 20 plus people, right? But you got your token, right? You got your token people.
Of course. They always have to fulfill,
and that's this is what it is. We see now
the
they got
role.
the first Black Bachelor, right? After what, 30 seasons or something like that.
So why is that a headline? You know what I mean?
Right.
Even that one episode with Jasmine, where it was like they were making a stink about, oh, she's wearing the same clothes or things like that. Like, why was that a storyline? Why does that be included? Like, why is that script? Why is that a read?
Right.
It just doesn't need to happen.
Do you when you were filming, I mean, you've been on obviously a few shows, are there on the production side of things, are there people of color that are working that you noticed?
There are. I even had, the one tell me that I don't want to be the angry Black girl, quote unquote. And I'm like, well, now that this has happened to me, I feel like I am, like I'm in shock and taking in what's happened to me. So should I listen to you? Do I not listen to you? And you're just in a weird situation, and it sucks when people don't want to accept, like, maybe she was vulnerable in that moment. Like, let's try and read that way, Whereas opposed to it's always, oh, she's the crazy jealous girl and this, that, and the other. And it's like, can we just humanize it for a minute? But
do you regret how you kind of silently handled that situation while you guys were filming?
I do and I don't, because I feel like at the time I was just so angry for so many reasons that it was just like a lashing crazy, And now reflecting on the moment, it's kind of like, I wish we did have a teachable moment back then, so we didn't have to be who we are today. But that's just the case. So I'm happy that it's happening.
Yeah.
At that point, that's all that matters, is that I'm just happy that there's an acknowledgement and that it's happening, and that's that.
Yeah. At this point, we just got to keep on moving forward, take accountability for ourselves too, right? And make things happen. I think that's what's been going on, especially like within the Asian American community. It's been the same thing. When we realized that there weren't any roles for us as leading men or leading women, people are taking more accountability to it and really trying to make that stance. And they're trying, Crazy Rich Asians came out. There's a sequel coming out. Things like that. I think we all have to do the same thing. We have to get behind each other, get behind our own cultures, and really uplift ourselves. And that's one of the biggest teachable moments at this point as well too. But also come together to teach everybody that different is okay. You know what I mean? The United States wouldn't be the United States if it wasn't built off of, these different cultures coming together. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's an immigrant. I mean, for the people who don't agree, we're all immigrants in the United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's very, very true. People really forget about that. It's an immigrant country. Come on now.
It's built on immigrants. Exactly.
It's a melting pot, honey.
Come on now.
Exactly.
Alicia, what would you tell Black women, Black people, but specifically Black women that are going to be cast in these future reality shows, whether they're on MTV or whatever network it is, but specifically MTV because that's the show that you've been on, or the network you've been on. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
My advice would to be yourself and be assertive. And if you do have an issue, say it and be behind it. It doesn't matter in your mind or to everybody else if you come off like, oh, well, she's annoying because she keeps bringing that up, or, like that doesn't matter. Speak your truth and be assertive and do what you got to do. Like I said, people are going to hate you. It is what it is. But as long as you can walk away and say, hey, at least I tried. That's it. And that's all I can ever say is, hey, at least I tried. People can view however they want to view it, but I know I tried, and that's that.
Word. That's dope. That is dope. Yes, I love it. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us and speaking your piece. Tell us again, because we definitely want to support what you have going on.
Yeah, plug it, girl.
Yes, plug it again.
Okay, so you can scan on this barcode. So me and my friends are putting these up currently in DC. That's where a lot of my girlfriends are currently based. Yes, Howard University.
Plug.
So yes, you can just scan, and it's a couple of different petitions and different events that you can go and support. So yes, exactly. Say their name. My friend is literally over here like, do this, and I'm
Right. I can tell you get some instructions. Just tell your friend to come on and just no.
I know.
Hilarious. Is there anywhere like online that they can go, like on your social media, or is there a website that they can go?
Change.org. Yes. All of my friends are currently, we have, some swipe up links. After this, I will take a picture of this and plug it up and do some swipe up. So don't worry, everybody will have the link.
Awesome. Alicia, thank you so much again. Appreciate it for joining us. Yes. That has been our show, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out again to our guest, Alicia, for joining us and giving us that tea. I've been your host, Lim Gonzalez, aka Uncle Lim. You can find me at Uncle Lim. Nino, where you at?
Hey, y'all, it's your boy Nino. You can catch me at Nino Lanier on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Catch me on Mix TV this Sunday for a Father's Day special.
Boom. Melody, what's up?
You guys can check me out everywhere at Melody_Rose. And thank you again, girl, so much. She was hard to get on the show, y'all. She is busy.
She's busy.
I'm not gonna put her business out, but when she was on the show 2 years ago, that was a challenge too. I'm just gonna say, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's all good. No, we appreciate it. One more time, Alicia, give us your social media handles and where they can find information.
I am on the gram. It is lavida_.alicia LAVIDA_ALICIA.
Awesome.
There it is. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you at our regular time on Wednesday. Until then, peace.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.